And we're back. Well, I'm back anyway, because I'm the only one here. And I was thinking over the break, and I was looking at the exit polls again. This election, again, I don't want people to misread it and thinking this is a referendum on Obama. I don't think it is. I think it's people saying, hey, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this, what? And, let's give Republicans a shot. And I don't think I made that clear earlier, but this is, Obama wasn't really, affecting many people's votes. And when I went to the ballot box, he wasn't affecting my vote. Apparently, according to the exit poll, that's true for most of America. But I want to get to, hopefully before I run out of time, the New York governor's election between Cuomo and Astorino. And Astorino did really well. There was I was surprised that there was such a low turnout in this election. I think that was amazing. Because less people voted. Like probably 3.5 million people came to the polls, with 99% of precincts reporting. And upstate Astorino did extremely well. He won almost every county. Downstate he won Suffolk County on Long Island. He did really. He came close in Westchester, relatively close, and relatively close in Staten Island. But this is a man who was outspent by millions of dollars in negative campaign ads. And I said always that on election day there would be a swing toward Rob, and there was a swing toward Rob. And I knew that, Hawkins did not do as well as the polls showed he was. They had him at 7%. He got 5%, which is still pretty well. But I do feel bad for Michael McDermott. My God, that poor guy. He's so likable. He didn't even come close to the 50,000 votes needed to have automatic ballot access. He didn't come close to Warren Relic, who had 48,000. Last I checked, he was at 15,000 votes, with all the votes counted. So I think the low turnout, I don't know why there was a low turnout, to be honest. Probably the weather, nobody knew there was an election happening because Cuomo wanted it that way. But for Rob Astorino to get 41% of the vote, with no Christie, no NRA money, some major play in the GOP ignoring him, I think that's a very good mark for him, and maybe he'll come back and win in 2018, 2018, he might come back and run again. I don't know, I hope he does, because I think he'll be a great governor. But with all that was against him, all that money against him, to lose 54-41, that is pretty darn good. Heck, I think, that's, in a way, that's a win. No, and where was the NRA in this election for Rob Astorino? The SAFE Act sucks, but where was the NRA? This is why I will never join these big organizations, because they're all just a bunch of politic nonsense. Where were these people? Where was Christie? You think this man has a chance of becoming president? Yeah, okay. I said before, I hate that phrase, let's take our country back, because these morons nominated Mitt Romney and John McCain for president. And probably, if they nominate Christie, I will go nuts. This guy is just an opportunistic bully. He's no different than Cuomo. He really isn't. And if he becomes the nominee, he won't become president. I'm not voting for him, that's for sure. And the NRA, this wonderful group, gun activist group, where were these people here in New York? They didn't give that much money to Astorino. I'll be surprised if they give him $1 million. I really would. There was nowhere to be seen. If Christie would have helped him out, if NRA would have came here, I think we would have a different result right now. I think we have a governor Astorino instead of a re-elected Andrew Cuomo. I think that NRA should really be ashamed of themselves for what happened here. I really do. And applauds to Rob. What a wonderful campaign he ran. Of course, were they perfect? No. Were there a couple of missteps? Of course there were. But he had to run a perfect campaign, and he almost did that, and he almost won this re-election. But the NRA, if I'm in New York and I'm an NRA member, I take my card and throw it in the garbage. What a disgrace these people are. I don't care how competitive or an uncompetitive race the polls show. You go over there and you give them heck. You do your job. You're for gun rights? No, you're not. You're just in it for the politics. And they're all in it for the politics. Are you surprised? I'm not. I just think it's, the NRA. I'm not a fan of the NRA. I wasn't a fan yesterday, and I'm definitely not a fan today. It's good that they're a strong gun advocate group, but at the same time, if you're as true to your word as you say you are, you go out and you go in there and spend money on all the candidates who are pro-gun, all of them. I don't care how down the polls they are. I don't care where they are. You give them money as much as possible to help them win that election. And when you don't, you just become a bunch of frauds and a bunch of political lobbyists, and you give gun owners around there a bad name everywhere. I'm really disgusted. I really am. If it wasn't on the air, I'd be going ballistic, giving out every bomb I could. But I have to control myself, or I get no show. But boy, where are the NRA when you need them? They're nowhere. What an embarrassment. Christie, you too. Boy, I bet if Christie gave Rob some money with the NRA, I'm sure Rob would be governor right now. I'm almost certain that would happen. Where were you, Christie? Connecticut, the Republican lost. Foley lost. I'm sure, what, an hour in New York would have killed you? Giving a couple of $1 million to Rob would have killed you? NRA, where were you? I don't know. I would yell, but I'm afraid that, I've been over the red mark on this thing too many times today, so I don't want to do that. But man, are you kidding me? John Cahill ran a good race too. I'm surprised that he did better than Rob in the numbers, because he got 42%. Rob got 41%. But Tom DiNapoli, good for you. I applaud you. I'm a big fan of you. I think that you are truly an independent watchdog. I voted for Tom DiNapoli. I think he's a good guy. And I think that he's above, to a certain degree, above politics. And I like him so far. I think he's doing a relatively good job as controller. So, DiNapoli, I applaud you. Republicans do have a foothold in New York State politics. They have won the state senate, which is good. I think that was unlikely a couple of months ago, but now, with all this woo-dah, they won it. And boy, you know what? Where were the state Republicans? Where were they all? Now, I know a good portion of them supported Rob. And of course, Ed McDonough was, pretty much held at gunpoint by Cuomo. But, the Republicans were not completely enthusiastic and not 100% behind a really good candidate. Now, I'm not going to complain, because, what as good as that? But just remember this. The next time the NRA or Republican Government Association asks you for money, don't forget this election. Don't forget it. I remember that, throughout last week, the NRA was sending me letters, give us money, become a member. And I'm like, if you're not here supporting our guy, why should I give you a dime? My money's going to go to a losing result in Connecticut? Are you serious? Boy, what world do you live in? So this is why I really don't join any big groups, because they're all politics, They're all in it for the money, they're all in it for the power, they're all in it, they predetermine results before they even happen. So, this is why I'm independent-minded. I don't really join, any big groups. And, that's why I'm number one. In my book, anyway, on the radio, I have no idea. I don't look at the ratings. I don't think I'm number one. I think the morning show before me is doing way better than I am. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of the morning show. Really good show. But, why be part of these big groups if at the end of the day they're going to ditch you? and they did his job. But to his credit, he did wonderful upstate. I think I think more people would have, ignored the polls and went to the polls and then voted for Rob, I think he would have done really well. But this is a good result. I'm happy for this. This is, for me, as a Rob supporter, not a great result because obviously this isn't a great result. He didn't win. But this is a relatively good result, This is a win because you have millions of dollars against you. You got Cuomo, who's trying to be president, maybe in 2016 or 2020, trying to run up the score. You hold firm, and he held firm. He blasted off those attacks. He won that debate, and my jolly me, he stood on message, and he stood for something. People knew where Rob stood. That's why he did as well as he did. And hopefully in 2018, he'll come back, and maybe he'll win. Who knows? I have a little bit more time, so I'll talk about the Republicans' victory in the Senate. And there are 3 Senate races which we don't know about yet. Virginia, which Mark Warner hopefully will win. I'm not a big fan of Ed Gillespie because he's an establishment guy, and I don't like establishment people getting more power than they should get. And plus, Mark Warner, hello, Republicans, wake up! Who do you want? Mark Warner, who's pretty much close to middle of the road as you'll get, or a far left winger like Obama? The people, wake up, Stop playing party politics and be realistic, If Mark Warner loses, we'll have a way more liberal candidate who's going to replace him probably. Louisiana's going to a runoff, that'll be a Republican gain. There's no way she's going to retain that seat, in my opinion. They'll make that 8 gains. And Alaska is 41, pretty close. It's within 1 point. I think it's within 3,000 votes actually last time I checked at 1 in the morning. So they could gain 9 seats. Probably they will gain at least 8. They'll win Alaska and or Louisiana. Virginia, they're not going to win. But yeah, Republicans, how about that? 53 to 54 Senate seats. What a night. Now, if they would have gained 6 seats, people would have hoopla, big whoop. But to gain 8 or 9 seats, that's some big meatballs, And my God, wow, what a night for the Republicans, and hopefully they don't blow it. I hope they don't. And now, if they do, then I'm sure another party will come around, or they'll have to pretty much, be in a minority for another 40 to 50 years. And again, this is exciting. The next couple of months will be exciting. I wanted to update you folks on the Rochester and Shrewd by-election in the UK. And this is, big news for UKIP because on November 20th is the by-election. They will have now not 1, but 2 seats in the House of Commons. And that's wonderful. They're up right now in Rochester and Shrewd. Mark Reckles, who was a former Conservative MP, switched to UKIP, resigned his seat, and he's letting the people of Rochester and Shrewd decide whether he should continue in Parliament or not. And right now he's up 48 to 33. In the previous poll, he was up by 13 points. Now he's up by 15. 48 to 33. My goodness, UKIP is on the rise. Watch out for them because, you know what? I mentioned this for a reason. Because if the Republicans don't do what they have to do in this session of Congress, the Libertarian Party, watch out for these guys. Because right now the Libertarians are on the rise. They really are. And if Republicans don't watch a step, the Libertarians can steal votes from them and can cost them elections. I was watching RT, Russia Today, or whatever it's called, before the polls closed at 7 o'clock. And they had Gary Johnson on. And Gary Johnson was hoping for Libertarians in like Illinois and other states to be upset for Republicans. And, many people feel that way. They want, their parties to be upset for other parties so they wake up. So So my warning to Republicans, watch out for the Libertarians. Do something. Stand for something. Get the people back on your side. Because you know what? People like me, who dislike what you're doing, will join the Libertarian Party. Will jump ship and join the Libertarians. Because you know what? They might, in another couple of years, they might be a force to be reckoned with. They might be the future opposition party. Who knows? It's possible. Now, Libertarianism is on the rise right now. UKIP in the UK will be probably closer to the Libertarians than the Republicans right now. I would assume so. So watch out. The Libertarians should take a couple of pages from UKIP's playbook. I know the elections and stuff are different, but don't be surprised. If the Libertarians start doing well locally, hopefully they get ballot access. You never know. It's possible. So Republicans, beware of the Democrats and of Obama, and also of the Libertarians, because they'll be watching you, and the minute they fall, watch out. Coming up next is my famous Doctor Who rant, and boy, I'm not happy. I guess you'll find out why coming up next. You're listening to a WICR. Yeah.
Brought our country to a staggering halt. 10 days later, on September 21st, 2001, the New York Mets hosted the Atlanta Braves in the first regular season professional sporting event in New York City since the attacks. In the bottom of the 8th, Mike Piazza hits a 2-run home run to give the Mets a 3-2 lead.
Lopez wants it away. And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run.